どうも、獅子王玄白と申します。In this video, I'm gonna discuss about the license attaining adventure that I've gone, both back in my world and here in your world. So back in my world, the license exam isn't really that hard because it was during the wartime. As long as you attain required lecture of driving and of course pass some basic driving mock test, you can get your own license. We need some people within the army to drive the vehicles, so the bar isn't set too high. But after transporting here, it proved to be a big difficulty. It turns out there are too many different types of licenses here in your world, so I have to take 2 different tests and 2 different rounds. And depending on the region that I am summoned in your world, the license examination is going to be a tad bit different. I'm summoned here in this island of controversy, and as such, the licensing is a tad bit different. See, in the past, I've heard from the denizens around here that the written exam is just like your university application examination, where you circle the bubbles after reading each questions. Now, it's way more convenient. You just sit in the office room, rather it's a computer lab within a governmental facility, and you click with your mouse on the multiple choice buttons, like is it answer 1, 2, or 3, and you click in the next question. However, the service is still a tad bit slow. As I showed in a video recording a few videos back, where I was doing a mock examination, at the computer lab, the actual computer examination is also slow as fuck. The server is just that shitty. Regardless, the questions proved to be easy enough to pass, and I passed with a 92.5. I got 3 questions wrong, so not the ideal score that you want, even though it's still pass. Next, let's talk about the different types of licenses. So in this island of controversy, there are several different types of licenses, and that is also being tested among the computer examination. The first type is called motorcycle. It is a range of licenses that allows you to maneuver motorcycles, different types of motorcycles, legally. And if you got electric scooters, unless it's classified as an electric bike, you need a license. Or else, if you get into some trouble, or one day you got tough luck and the police just decides to inspect you, you're in deep trouble. So you need a license. So there are 4 different types of motorcycles determined by the local government here. The first type is called light motorcycle or small motorcycle. These motorcycles are under 50cc. In Mandarin they call it 排气管，排气容量50cc. So 50cc gas production from gasoline from the motor, you get a green license plate with white letters and numbers on it. That's the first type. The second type of motorcycle and the corresponding license with it is called a normal heavy motorcycle. It's just your normal scooters that ranges above 50cc and below 250. And the common types of motorcycles that are sold are 100, 125, 150, 200. And the larger the cc gas production, the waste gas production, you get heavier motorcycle. It also accommodates the engine, the engine size and the motor power. And yeah, if you have a normal heavy motorcycle license, you could also maneuver a small light motorcycle. So why get the smaller one when you can just get the bigger one, right? And the third and the fourth type, well, you see, in the normal range, the license plate is white license plate with black letters and numbers. The third and fourth type of motorcycles are called large heavy motorcycles. The only difference between is the cc's, 250cc and 500 or above. Those are generally very, very expensive motorcycles with foot pedals to determine the transmission of the motorcycle engine. 250 is considered the license plate is yellow license plate with black letters, while 500 or above is a red license plate with black letters. The only difference is that even though both are considered expensive motorcycles and both could ignore the motorcycle only rules on the road, as they are considered cars because they pay enough taxes from their gas production, waste gas production. The yellows, the 250s, they cannot go on the expressways, while the 500s, the reds, they can go on only if you possess an automobile license. Otherwise, that's illegal. And no, expressways are different from highways because expressways are free. Highways, they have a fee. So that's the difference. The emblem here to distinguish highways and expressways are also different too. So you gotta read the instructions, and it's also tested in the computer test. So you gotta make sure. And the reds and the yellows have one corresponding license. It's called the large heavy license. And if you want to get those, you have to go to a driving school. And there are heavy motorcycle driving schools available. While the first two types of motorcycles, you don't really need to go to a driving school in order to get the qualifications for examination taking. After computer test goes the mock road test, and they got a small ground with very tight mock roads for just testing you the rules of the road when you're actually driving or maneuvering your motorcycle. There are 9 different types, or should I say 9 different examination points. Other than the first section, the remaining 7 or 8 examination points only get 1 trial. While the first examination point, you have 2 trials because it is called slow balance in a thin, extremely thin passageway. And that's only like what? It's at the width of that passageway is only what? It's slightly wider than your motorcycle wheel. So you can understand why it's very hard. You gotta balance and you gotta slowly tread through for at least 7 seconds. If you just speed run through that tiny path, you get docked points. If you fail, you get docked points. If your wheel touches the sensor on your left and right, you get dock points. If you put your foot down or just hover through the air to help you balance, you get dock points. And if you press brake, you would fall and you get dock points. You got 2 trials for a reason. The rest is just a train signal, stopping by the red light, the pedestrian, zebra crossing. You have the 90-degree turn, the U-turns. You got changing the lanes, and in this island of controversy, motorcycles, unless you're the reds and the yellows, when you're on a major intersection, you have to do something called hook turn. So instead of doing a direct left turn, you gotta show your right turn signal, and you gotta do a very big hook and wait on the designated square. But before that is right in front of the horizontal or the other passageway, and you gotta wait until you gotta wait 2 traffic lights in order to turn left. It's a hassle for many people because you gotta wait 2 instead of 1, but it's for your safety in big intersections. And those who ignore the rules, they get into traffic incidents, and in the most severe cases, they get squashed by like trucks, buses, when they ignore the hook turn maneuver and just turn left when the truck is turning right from the inner aisle, because they couldn't really turn right from the outer aisle. So hook turn is actually very important in this island of controversy. That's enough said about motorcycles. Let's move on to automobiles. So automobiles only have 2 types of licenses. The first type is called, actually there's 3. The first type is called small automobiles. The definition of small automobile is just 4-wheeled vehicle that has 9 or less passenger seats, and or if you're a cargo small van or a mini truck, your weight limit is 2,500 tons. I forgot the measurement of weight for cargo. Either that weight limit or 9 or less passenger seats. The second type is called the large automobile. This type is more on, let's say, you want to be a bus driver, or just a large caravan, or just a large van for your own sake. Normally you wouldn't be using it, but yeah. If you want a car that's more than 10 seats, a very long car, or you just want to be a limousine driver, yeah, you gotta take another examination for a different license called the large automobile license. It's the amount of seats, so that's where you get it. The third one is called special automobiles, which are just your construction vehicles, military personnel licenses, your tow trucks, yada yada yada. Those specialized cars. And no, if you want to be an Uber driver or taxi driver, you have to take another examination. So in your case, as just a self-driving purposes, all you need is just a small automobile, 9 seats or less. You don't really need too much. Also, because there are like, let's say, examination points that are exempted. Whereas if you're a large automobile driver, you have one extra. You got one extra examination point to cover. So the computer examination is the same, but the road test is different. In this island of controversy, the road test is divided into 2 parts. The first part is the practice drill mock examination, and the second test is, yes, you gotta actually go on the road. So the first part is easy because you get 1 month of training to prepare yourself for the examination. See, automobile licenses are you are required to enroll in a driving school, or if you don't have the time, you could apply to the government agency that you want to self-practice for 3 months, and they'll send a government agent at the permitted time period for you to drive. But normally you would just go to a driving school because it's faster that way. Why take 3 months when you can just take 1 month? And if you're skillful enough, you can just get your license even faster. So after you pass your computer examination, next day or on that day, if you take the examination within the government agency grounds, you start your practice drills. The practice drills involve 2 different types of parking: the 90-degree parking lot parking, the parallel parking on the road, and the third one is just, they call it the S shape, the S turn, which is you do a U-turn in and then do a U-turn again out. And then you have to reverse gear out of the S track. After that, you go through the track that they designated. You stop at a section, and then you let go of your brake and just accelerate through the straight path while balancing your wheels at a very tight spot, a very short but tight width mock road. Then you stop for the train to pass. You continue through the path and you go uphill. you stop midway to check, just like a mock situation of waiting in a queue for red traffic light signal on a elevated or a slanted surface. And then there's also the way downhill escalation. Again, you have the zebra crossing, two different types of zebra crossing, mid-road and at the intersection. And you got the pedestrian warning, which is just basically only used during the mock test, because you don't really see the pedestrian warning signal. You only see the traffic light signal. So, yeah. That's the first part, which is the easy part of the road test. The second part is basically the actual road test, which is somewhat harder because in the mock situation road test, where you get to practice more on, the emphasis is you put your feet on the brake, so you get to turn cautiously, not to press the sensor at the side. But on the actual road test, you're not gonna put your feet on the brake. Your emphasis is now on the acceleration pedal. And if you press brake too often, you get deducted points. And you just get deducted more points than you do within the mock situation within your driving school. On the actual road test, you still have to follow the traffic rules. And you gotta park when you park. You gotta signal left and right turns way earlier than you should. And in this island of controversy, motorcycles get to stop in front of automobiles during a red light. They got a designated parking space or waiting space in front of you. So if you manage to just have your wheel just get into the motorcycle area, you get dock points, and you basically fail the road test. Next is there is one section where you're supposed to parallel park on the side. You're not after you park, the proctor will just say, "Done, go on." There are some rules that you need to be wary. First of all, if you're gonna take a left turn and you're turning from a one-lane road to a two-lane road, you always left turn into the inner aisle. Even though most cars on the road, they do not follow this rule, you will get dock points by the proctor if you follow the common sense rather than the book, the textbook way. Same goes with if you're doing a right turn. You always right turn into the outer aisle from a one-lane road to a two-lane road or three-lane road. Capiche? Next, because my driving school is right next to tramways. And so there's a very short intersection, very short road section with two traffic lights, and the tramway takes a lot of space. So the middle section where you could temporarily park for, let's say you passed the first red light intersection, but you didn't pass the second one, and a tram might want to enter or leave the station, you basically have to speed through, because if you manage to just stop when the second intersection goes red light, you basically get dock points because you stop on the tramway. And stopping on the tramway is just basically stopping on the railroad track, which is a big no-no. So you get dock points. The problem of that intersection is just because the interval time for you to pass through, you only have 13 seconds before your brief green light moment becomes a red light, and there's 2 intersections. So you gotta rush through, but you can't go too fast. The third thing is, even though you're supposed to follow the traffic rules, and if you are skillful enough, you can just basically go as fast as you want, speed run through the test. The problem is just you can't excel the acceleration speed of 50 kilometers per hour. But you also can't stop. You can't stop midway unless it's a red light. So here's the dilemma. You either go too fast and you get dock points, or you go slow enough but not too slow and you get scolded by the proctor. The proctor can't dock your points, but you get a annoyed look from the proctor saying, the speed limit's 50. Why are you accelerating at the speed of 25? And I'm like, I don't know, man. I try to go fast, but it doesn't really work out. I gotta. Of course, you couldn't really explain too much to the proctor because the proctor doesn't really care. He just wants you to pass so that he can end his job earlier, grade your score, and just proctor the next examinee. The examiner, they got short temper, but that's their job, so. Yeah, the examiners have bad attitudes. Even the coaches here have bad attitudes. They're like, why so useless? I told you one time you're supposed to memorize the way to succeed and get your license. I don't want to see you again. And they're like, I teach you the right moment, the right method. You just have to memorize it and just to pass the examination. So useless, too short. You can't see the left side of your car, the front left side of your car. So useless. You forgot to signal your way when you're backing out from the S. They're very short-tempered, and they have bad manners. But if you do as what they say, like, and you're skillful enough, you don't have to see them after the month of training, and you just get your license. At least that's what I did. Yeah, we don't really have any verbal abuse back when we are back in my world when we were doing the constant state of war, because the bad-mannered people are already in the military. You don't really need bad-mannered people in the driving lessons, the driving schools. So, I'm still having some kind of culture shock here. But yeah, here's my brief but rigid, not so well delivered driving license experience. My name is Shishio Genhaku, and Genhaku off.